Hey guys, I'm Will,
And I'm Kim.
and we run Wild Bill Wellness. I'm Wild Bill, and we talk all things wellness. For this month is September. If you didn't already know, this is Suicide Prevention Month. So we're kind of like raising awareness during this time, and we have a special guest. His name is Mr. James Retty, and he's going to be chatting to us a little bit about his mental health and how he has suicidal thoughts sometimes. And so, if any of the things that we talk about today is a trigger to you or triggers you, we advise you to please talk to someone supportive, talk to someone that can listen to you, or seek professional help. Or you can call Lifeline on 131114.
So, mental health is a topic that Will and I are quite familiar with. Between us, we have worked in the mental health space for the last 10 years. Currently, Will works in the prisons and as well as a mentor for youth, and I work as a community mental health practitioner and do some counselling. So, today, this topic that we'll cover with James around mental health is quite familiar to us. We're very mindful that to the everyday person out there, that mental health is still quite taboo, and we need to kind of break that stigma and bring it more to life, that these are things that actually every single one of us go through at some point or another, and our mental health is just your mind and how you deal with it. But also when you seek doctors' help and counsellors and psychologists, that then you might be diagnosed with certain things. This leads us into talking to James. So James, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so do you want to just start off by maybe just tell us about yourself? We like to just help our audience know who we're talking to. So what your name is, where you're from, maybe about your family if you want, where you grew up, anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So no, thanks for having me on, guys. So my name's James Retty, as you said. I was born in New Zealand, but I moved to Australia when I was 13, and been on the coast, on the Gold Coast since then. I'm the third oldest we've got 6 kids in our family, 4 sisters, 1 brother. And then I went on to have a big family myself, so I've got 5 children. Yeah, I was born in Hamilton, in the middle of the North Island, so just about an hour south of where Will grew up. And I work as a carpenter on the Gold Coast.
Okay, cool. So is that your Māori then, correct?
My Māori, what?
You are Māori, right? You're not, or you Samoan?
I am.
Yeah.
No. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm Māori Pākehā.
What's your Māori name, or what's your Facebook name?
My Facebook name's Eru Reihana, with my middle name. So
Yeah.
Translated it's Errol Richards, I think. So I used to go by the alias Errol Richards because I thought it sounded flash. I embrace my Māori side, so Eru Reihana.
Nice.
And so our first question would be, when did you start to realize that you're having difficulties with your mental health, or when did you realize there was something not working for you?
It's more of a hindsight thing. So I didn't realize I had, I guess, a problem with depression because I just thought it was such a normal thing. I remember being probably 14, 15 when I remember feeling feelings and just overwhelming sadness, which I just thought was a normal thing, normal part of growing up. Everything on the outside was always good, had a really good life, really good family, good home life, good support. And so I just thought it was, just a normal thing. So it wasn't until I was older when I, became diagnosed that I looked back and realized it wasn't a normal thing. So probably in my late 20s, probably I realized that it was actually a problem that I had to address.
How has your mental health affected your day-to-day life?
At the moment, because I believe I've, recovered and doctors have said I've recovered, during the thick of it, which would have been about 5 years ago, my day-to-day life was looking on the outside, it wouldn't look any different than it does now. I was working just very long hours, and which I was quite used to. I would train at the gym a lot and stuff, but I was just very emotionally void to people, especially my family, my children, and my wife. And, it was very, yeah. I just wasn't emotionally just available to anybody. So that's how it sort of affected me and those around me.
Yeah. Right.
And do you think it's because you were busy just dealing with your own emotions, and so you didn't have time for other people's emotions?
Absolutely, I couldn't take on anything. So with my children, having so many kids and how busy it is, and you know what it's like, I was very good because I work with my hands being a builder. I was very good practically. I was a very good practical father. I could change nappies, I could cook dinners, I could clean. And so every night the normal routine is driving home. My wife would text me a list. I'd go buy the list, come home and cook it. And then when it was bedtime, I would just go and do dishes, clean up, vacuum. And a lot of people would say, gee, you're a good man, you're a good husband. But I was really just avoiding the crying, the tantrums, I don't want to shower, I don't want to go to bed. I found it easier to do dishes and clean and be practical, hands-on dad than it was to be emotionally, supportive of my wife and children.
Yeah, right.
So even if you wanted to support them, do you think that would be a difficult thing to do in that kind of state?
Yeah, absolutely. Like it was just just very difficult. So I would just avoid, and some people, self-medicate. There's all different reasons, ways people deal with stuff like that. But my way was just to completely just avoid. Like if the kids needed something, I'll get it and do it, and I'd look like a good dad on the outside, but emotionally I couldn't be there for them because I couldn't regulate my own emotions. I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, right. So when you talk about not quite feeling like it was normal to feel sadness, right? Now in the state you're in, do you realize that that's not normal?
Absolutely, yeah. It's not a normal thing, and it's not. I just thought it was something everyone had to go through, and everyone had it a lot better than I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking back, it's not something you have to go through. I fell off a roof when I was an apprentice, and I shattered my ankle. Like it was terrible, but I kept working. I worked. I did it at lunch at Smoko about 9 o'clock, and I worked till 5 that day. And I was walking around on it, and I could hear it just crunching. It was terrible. And I went to the doctors, and he said, "Yeah, it's shattered." And he said, "You didn't need to." He goes, "If you came in, you would have saved 3 months in your recovery, but because of what you've done to your foot," he goes, "you're going to have about 6 months off." And I had even more time off because he said you didn't have to. And it was similar with my mental health. I didn't have to deal with it. I didn't have to keep just slogging away and thinking, if I sacrificed those few hours trying to finish a job, I would have saved 3 months. And so I liken that to, my mental health. If I addressed it a lot earlier, I would have been a better father for longer. So.
Right. Yeah. So what made you then seek that professional help that then put you on that road to realizing there was something wrong?
The catalyst for me was 2013. My wife had our fourth child, and the next day she maybe was no doctor, but maybe childbirth related, but she had a mild stroke, and so we had this brand new baby, and then she got put in the neurology ward, and she couldn't talk very well, and her coordination on one side was a bit funny, and it took her a long time to sort of recover from that. And so I was going to work and working really hard and trying my best to support my family, and everything kind of just stopped. I couldn't go to work, couldn't do anything, and my depression. I kept working for a couple months, but things just started getting on top of me, and I couldn't look after her. I couldn't look after the kids, and she was the sort of the emotional caregiver for the kids, and I had to be that, and I couldn't. I was about to turn 30. I was 29, and I thought we had a bit of a savings, and I thought I had to be at this certain place at 30. I had to own this and had to be here, and I didn't have those things. I turned 30 years old, and I had to quit work. So 2014, the start of 2014, I quit work, and I thought I'll give myself 3 months to get on top of my mental health, and I ended up having probably 2 years off solid work, just to look after my family, rehabilitate my wife, and so that was when I properly addressed it. Realized that I couldn't keep dealing with this, couldn't keep hiding from it. So.
I remember we had a conversation earlier or last week, and it was around you working away. I notice a lot with even in my workspace that the FIFO kind of lifestyle, the statistics are quite high for suicide and mental health. Yep. So I know you worked away earlier this year, was it?
Last year.
Last year. Okay, so I wanted to know, men in general working away, is that a thing since you've been there, living away from home? And what was that like for your mental health? I guess being away from your comfort zones and having to go through all that, and then even other men, was it a thing or was it not a thing?
Yeah, it was a massive thing. So I thought because I took 2014-15 off to get my mental health, I sort of got on top of it. We went through all our savings and stuff, so I thought I'd recovered. I got to the normal up and downs, but within the normal range. I ended up going to Tasmania in May and stayed there till just before Christmas. Right. So about the 6 months of the end of 2019, and that's when it really kind of crept up on me again, where I thought I was on top of it. I had my systems, I had my support group, and then I went away and I didn't have those things. I was grateful to have my brother. I was working with my younger brother, and who ultimately saved me, I believe. So it's just that isolation. Also being in that environment of, it's very male, dominated industry, and a lot of people don't talk about it. I was very open with it. I was, right. And I always have been, because I don't feel ashamed of it. But yeah, absolutely, working away makes things hard, especially if you're not, if you have problems like that. So they do physical medicals, but they don't really go into the into the mental side of things. Yeah.
When you're away and when you're saying towards the end it was looking a bit negative, what was some of the negative thoughts that was running through your head that you couldn't really control?
Yeah, so I was working quite hard. The elements down in Tasmania were very hard. It was quite cold. First time I've seen snow, hopping on the scaffold, there's snow on the scaffold. That was very, very hard. So I was thinking, my depressions aren't crying. They're not locking themselves in a room. They're just not talking, not engaging with people. And so I sat there and I thought I thought I was smart, and I thought I could logically beat the depression. So I said to myself, why am I working away? I'm working away to support my family and money. I said, what's the best way I can support them without being a burden to them? And I said, suicide. I think that's considering all options. I think this is the best option I can go with. I said, I'm insured for, certain couple $1 million, and that'll set them up, and they'll be happy, and everything will be fine, and they wouldn't have to worry about me, the emotionally absent father and physically absent father being away. They won't have to worry about me. So it wasn't a woe is me and I'm crying, I want to hurt myself, which a lot of the times it isn't. It was more of a, okay, let's try and figure out a solution. I thought that was a perfect solution. I thought it was great. Like I even tried to discuss with my wife, who thought, this isn't right what you're saying. But I just thought, I was like, think about it. Come on, like, you got to be willing to compromise. Yeah, you got to be.
I'll be worried if she said, "Oh, yeah, that's a good idea."
That's fantastic. But yeah, so I was trying to convince her. I was trying to pitch it to her, say, you got to have an open mind. I said, the car, we can get you a nice car, we can do all these things. And I said, I can not have to work so hard and killing myself. Not just that job, but in general. Easily. And, it solves all our problems. Everything's fine. I don't have to deal with depression. And yeah, let's just do that. It should be good. So I called my broker and asked broker, hey man, this is back in 2015. I said, hey, I'm just calling to see if my life insurance is still valid. And he said, yeah, it is. And I said, does it cover suicide? And he said, yes, it does, but don't. And I said, but don't what? And he said, but don't. And then he sent me to, he said he's had a few clients kill themselves. He sent me to doctors, and that was the that was the start of things. I forgot to say earlier, but yeah, so I had that knowledge in my head, which wasn't good. And I just thought, yeah, I'm going to take advantage of this. I've been paying my premiums. I should be covered. Let's go for it. So that was my thinking down in Tassie.
Yeah.
Most people that commit suicide, everyone from the outside, they're like, what a greedy guy, like,
Nah, I don't think. Well, yeah, but
I'm just talking about most,
okay.
like, from the outside, not people that understand it, but I'm talking the general public. People on Facebook, they're like, oh, what a selfish guy, like, they don't understand the demons that people experience. But his perspective is interesting, because I've never heard that perspective where you're actually being very thoughtful.
Yeah, well, I have. I felt, see, this scenario to me is quite alarming, because it's that whole scenario around what's the intent, is their intent, and you had quite a lot of thought to it. So you had put a lot of processes in place to kind of like carry it through, and those are like, they talk about early warning signs, like what are they, what are your triggers, what's this, and so you're basically saying is that
he's already did.
Well, I've already planned it out, like this is going to be the best scenario for my family and for everyone. And so for me, but that, I mean, I work in that space, so I hear those stories quite regularly, but that would be like, oh, alarm bells, and kind of what your broker did, and be like, oh, don't do it, here's the doctor, you need to, here you go. So then
gave me the tools. Like I had the same thought as well. I thought, if people kill themselves, I said that's their choice. They want to do it, and that is a greedy kind of thing to do, a selfish thing to do. But it really, there's so much to it. Like it's so complex. Like, it's just not black and white like that. And I try to do it to help. I just thought it would help the situation.
So that puts a lot. That might be quite informative for people to hear on the other end, because it's like it's an actual thought out process, that it's not just black and white.
You said to us that your brother saved you, but how did he help you not follow through with your plan?
I guess because it also helps. It helps others see how they be the helper, what that actually looked like.
So my brother, he is very he's not a super emotional person. He's not a very affectionate person. So when we were down in Tassie and we're hanging out, and we had to share a room together, and so we didn't have to hire a new house, and he gave us a bit of extra cash for sharing the room. And I said, yeah, we'll find a sharing. We've been doing this since kids. And so when we're in the room, I remember just laying there and very Flight of the Conchords-ish, the way it happened. I just said, hey man, I feel like we don't hug each other. And then he just goes, oh yeah, don't start now. And I was like, well, I'm not going to start now. I'm just. He's sort of that kind of brother. So his checking up on me would be like, you all good, bro? Sweet, bro? Sweet? And I was like, yeah, sweet. But I was very open with him. And so I was very open with him. But the way I found like he sort of saved me was since I was there by myself and I felt so alone, just him being there, I wasn't actually alone. If I was to hurt myself or if I was to pass away, he would be the first one there, and he would have to, and I just couldn't do that for him. So as much as I was trying to help my people, my family, the family I created with my wife and children, he was part of my first family, and it kind of got me outside of myself and my situation, and had to think about him. He's had one of his very, very close friends commit suicide. early 2013 or 14. And also when I was in Tassie, that same person, his brother, committed suicide as well. And so it just wasn't something I wanted to put my brother through, especially how hard he takes it and still takes it very hard. So, so thoughts of him really sort of deterred me, which is good. And they're always there to talk. I talked to him. He wouldn't say much. He was like my father, a man of few words, but it would never minimize, which was good. He never minimized how I felt. He always acknowledged it, and he never said, I don't feel like that a lot. He's not hard enough. He listened, he heard, and let me feel what I felt, which was really good.
And I think that's a good takeaway there, is I see it a lot too, is that it's been that not minimizing what someone's saying, and it's to just listen. I think that's do you think?
Absolutely. Yeah, so he didn't do anything. He didn't hug me. He didn't cry with me. He didn't do anything like that. He just listened. That's it. He showed no emotion, like he wasn't shocked, like he wasn't upset, he wasn't angry. He just listened, and that's just sort of what you need, and that's why, CBT helps, talking to counsellors help, all that stuff helps, because it is genuinely listening. Listening's massive.
Yeah, right. And so what does it look like now, being in your own thoughts? Like when you're left to your own thoughts and devices on life, what does that look like for you now?
Because I've been through the darker, I've been given the tools by, professionals, and spent, a solid few years seeing a psychologist and psychiatrist and medication stuff. My own thoughts are good, very positive. I can recognize the signs early. I don't let things kind of get bad. I don't let if I've broken leg, I sort it. I don't let the gangrene set in. So the black dog's always there, but you just know how to keep it at bay, and which I think is, is paramount to my recovery and, anyone's recovery.
Yeah, cool. So then I guess your family support then is good, would you say? And what about your friends and your networking? Do they understand mental health, or what that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got a tight group of friends. There's 5 of us, and every year we have a boys trip. Every week we talk together, and it's one of them has a podcast called the Better Man Project, and he talks about just bettering yourself, and spiritually, physically, mentally. And so we're all very open with our own mental health, and those pathways are there. There's one of the boys has said, I have no experience in mental health. I don't have sadness. I don't, none of my family, I have no thing. But he said, but I'll just love you. I'll just love you guys. And, we all have our struggles as fathers, providers and stuff. And so we all are very open with each other. And that's just that network is massive. It's been massive for me.
You mentioned a little bit earlier about how you're experiencing the thoughts of your mental health declining and that, but you just dug deeper into your work. Do you feel that's a trap that a lot of people go through? Like they just feel like they can heal it by just being more busy at work? Do you think that's like a trap?
Yeah, so it might be work, it's all a way of self-medicating, and because work, gym, things like that are very socially acceptable, where things like drug use, drug abuse and stuff isn't as socially acceptable, alcohol abuse. It's easier to see in people when they're doing, maybe taking drugs to numb the pain, or drinking, which I can understand. It's just another way to self-medicate, and it isn't right. Like tonight, we had to put this off because I was working till quite late, after 8 o'clock. But it's for a different reason now. It's not, to escape and to run and hide, because all those issues I've dealt with, and so I'm able to do those things without using it as a crutch to get through my day to day. So yeah, work for me, that was my personal thing. Some other people use different things. Some people use sex. Some people use just food. There's so many different people use. Food's a hard one. It's a very hard one. But yeah, it's some people, especially even people that go to church and stuff, they'll use the socially acceptable kind of
get busy
things.
doing something.
Yeah, clog it up.
It's easier to hide behind than other things, So.
Yeah.
Well, so what I'm hearing is there's that principle, good, better, best. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking like alcohol, and that might be like bad, and then like working hard may be okay. Like what would you suggest as like the best form of help, if you could?
It's really addressing the issues that you have, is sitting with it, is accepting it, is just not pushing it away and trying to outwork it or outrun it. And so it's like the saying, you can't outrun a bad diet, if you're talking about physically. It's similar with your mental health, where
I'm attacked. I feel
I'm looking at that was directed at you.
For real.
Outrun a bad diet, and it shows you need to address your issue. Like if your issue is food, that's what you need to address. Same with your mental health as well. So it's very easy. Like there's no shame in people going, oh, I've got a broken leg, a broken arm, I'll go to the doctors. There's it's a weird stigma that just because your mental health is, because no one is physically, I was thinking about it earlier today, no one is physically healthy all the time, with your thing, you might have a bad back, you might have a sore shoulder one day, you might wake up and, your knee's sore. So physically, you're never 100% all the time. And the same mental health, it's everyone. You're never 100% all the time. So, yeah.
So if you could give advice to people that are currently in that, got the black dog that won't go away, what advice would you give?
For me, is to normalize it, is to talk about it, is to bring it up, it's just to have a conversation. If it's like like any problem, even any addiction that people have, if you keep things secret, it just doesn't help. It makes things harder and worse. Normalize it. So even when I was in Tassie, I talked to people and say, or even for the last 5 years, is sometimes it's the first thing I talk to them about, and it might be mental health, or because I don't like, I have a great life, and I'm physically healthy, and I love my job, absolutely love it, and love my family. I'd be the last person you sort of expect to battle with these things. Is to just talk about it, is to let people know, have a few people that you talk to about how you're feeling, where you're at, and your moods. And my brother will be that, like every day, sort of wake up, we'll be in the same room, and I'd say, bro, I'm struggling today, or other days I'd be like, yeah, I'm good, man, like things are really good. And just have the conversation, just anyone, and you'll always, if there are bigger problems, underlying problems there, it'll always find its way to the right people, so just normalize it, talk about it, bring it up, and that's my advice.
Yeah, cool. You gave a great example of your brother being a support. So for us looking at people watching, we may be thinking, man, that's not really a person with a lot of skills to support you, but you still felt supported, eh? So it's such a encouraging thing for our viewers to watch and to feel like you just need to be there for people, If you have a brother or a friend, just reassure them that you're checking in on them, and all you need to do is listen. You don't have to give any great advice. We don't have to be Dr. Phil's, but listen. And as long as you feel like someone's listening, do you feel it has a positive effect on you?
Absolutely, yeah. You can be as uncompassionate, unemotional as my brother is, and he
Such a good example.
Yeah, it is.
He saved a life, man, and that's just I saved many lives, the flow-on effect for my kids and stuff. So he doesn't know it as much, but he saved, like even when we were in Tassie and someone jumped off a building right next to us, and I heard sirens and stuff, and everyone's having a nosy, and he just said, bro, I don't think it's good if you go around the corner and have a look, because he knew my mental health. He knew that I'd see something like that, and I'd think of things like, always the bridesmaid, never the bride, and start thinking all these things like, I wish that was me, like, so because he knew that, because he was aware of that, he, little things like that, he could look out for me. So yeah, you don't have to have a psychology degree to be a friend and to be a good brother or sister.
He seems like the Polynesian poster boy supporter.
Yeah, he is, man. He's
You're good.
Yeah, my brother. Yeah, sweet. Sweet. Yeah, sweet. So yeah, that was man, a few words, that kid. But
what I've taken away is just the whole aspect around talking and just normalizing and like, hey, have a chat. Like, and I think that's what we're trying to do with Let's Have a Chat Tuesday, is to have chats with people like yourself for these exact conversations that people are really struggling with having. And even if they're going through it, it's like, oh, let's talk about everything but that. Yeah. Thank you, James. We appreciate that. You've shared some good gems tonight, and we appreciate you, and keep fighting the good fight.
Yeah, thanks, bro.
Any last words you've got to share for us, of words of wisdoms from James?
Doctor.
Nah, just I'll send my address for those free shirts.
Yes, you can tell. Yeah,
you're one of our models.
For real.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks heaps, bro.
Appreciate it.
Sharing your experience.
Take care. And before we wrap it up, is I kind of think it shows a bit in we've added a conversation for Tuesday, just gone, with it being September, around it being Suicidal Prevention Month. And it's quite interesting to watch that over 1,000 people have watched the clip, but only like no one's interacting with it.
Maybe 15 people interacted.
Because, and I think that's kind of speaks for itself around the stigma and mental health, that
no one wants to be seen liking it.
What should we comment under that? Like, you keep going, or and so I think for you, James, I really like if anyone follows James on social media, it's kind of funny because it's like the out there kind of comments. But I think let's break it down from that, because if we keep up the appearances, that's where we're getting in trouble.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, really well said.
Cool. So I encourage everyone to reach out to your family and friends, and just check, are you okay? If you consider them family and friends. So thank you, and see you later.